Welcome to the Obedient Rogues Reflections for the 27th Sunday in Ordinary Time in the New Calendar. In the first reading, we hear the complaint of the prophet Habakkuk. Why do you let me see ruin? Why must I look at misery? I do not know the exact trials of the prophet, but he speaks of something that is universal to human experience. No one is spared from suffering in this life. We all have its bitter sting in this valley of tears, and we have all uttered our own version of Habakkuk's complaint. God offers a reply that can be described as anything but urgent. Instead of receiving an immediate reprieve, Habakkuk receives instructions. Write down this vision clearly upon the tablets, so that one can read it readily. At this point, I imagine him reaching for his chisel and stone. The reason you do not write down a grocery list on a stone tablet is because you do not need it very long. You only write things down on stone that will need to be remembered for generations to come. Habakkuk's answer is not going to come this week or next month, but in God's own time. This is not much of a consolation to someone who is suffering now. Still, God makes the promise that the coming vision will not disappoint. I find it hard to believe that Habakkuk is content with this answer. In the midst of suffering, patience is the one thing that is hard to come by. In moments of stress, we want answers and we want action. Anxiety about the future can make the minutes feel like hours. Still, no matter how much we plead, it is impossible to rush God. The reading concludes, "The rash one has no integrity, but the just one, because of his faith, shall live." How should we feel when God does not answer our prayer in a timely manner? Is it unfair of God to make us wait? This brings us up the question, what does God owe to humanity? By studying the Gospel of St. Luke, we can discover the answer. Absolutely nothing. After reminding the disciples of the power of faith, Jesus turns to the importance of duty. Jesus says, "When you have done all that you have been commanded, say, 'We are unprofitable servants. We have done what we were obliged to do.'" In other words, do not expect special prizes for simply doing your job. The Haydock Bible Commentary adds this reflection. The design and end of this parable is to show that, rigorously speaking, we are useless servants with regard to God. This sovereign master has a right to exact of us every kind of service, and to make us apply ourselves to any task that he may think proper, without having any reason to complain either of the difficulty, trouble, or length of our labors. We are entirely his, and he is the master of our persons, time, and talents. In the second reading from St. Paul to Timothy, we hear, "Do not be ashamed of your testimony to our Lord, nor of me, a prisoner for his sake, but bear your share of hardship for the gospel with the strength that comes from God." St. Paul has gone through his share of suffering. He encourages Timothy to suffer along with him. This reminds me of Auschwitz survivor and writer Viktor Frankl. In Man's Search for Meaning, he wrote, "When a man finds that it is his destiny to suffer, he will have to accept his suffering as his task, his single and unique task." Describing his experience in the concentration camp, he later states, "Rilke spoke of getting through suffering, as others would talk of getting through work. There was plenty of suffering for us to get through." So St. Paul is telling Timothy to get to work. The thought of suffering, especially meaningless suffering, does not sound very good. Our pride and our desire for independence wants to reject this notion. Perhaps we begin to see God as some kind of unreasonable slave driver. Perhaps we think that he makes us suffer and orders us around for his own amusement. Do not be so rash. Do not forget God's promise. We must trust him. He created us, and therefore we are his. He did not bring us into creation just to see us dwindle. The Haydock Bible Commentary continues, Because our service is of no profit to our master, and he justly claims it as our bounden duty, but though we are unprofitable to him, our serving him is not unprofitable to us, for he is pleased to give, by his grace, a value to our good works, which, in consequence of his promise, entitles them to an eternal reward. God delights in giving us freedom. God delights in allowing us to make a real difference in the world. We cannot earn a place in heaven. There is nothing we can add to God. However, we should be joyful in the fact that we can be made pleasing to him through our diligent works, our prayers, our joys, and our sufferings.